I understand that, leads can be squandered quickly.
Oh dear, this is so far right.
Because I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I got to have faith. I got to have faith. Yes, I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith.
My favorite golfer is Jordan Spieth, a former world #1 and a 3-time major winner. He won the Masters and the US Open in 2015 and the Open in 2017, along with 15 other tournaments worldwide. He's won $48 million in prize money alone. God knows how much Under Armour pay him. He has 2 younger siblings, Steve and Ellie. Now, Ellie has grown up with some severe disabilities, and Jordan has credited her with keeping him grounded and focused, as well as keeping the game of golf in perspective.
Talking all about Jordan Spieth's big Masters meltdown on his 12th.
Carded a quadruple bogey 7.
An athlete come back from that type of collapse.
We'll stay with him. Media's never going to let it go away. No sport creates psychological demons more effectively than golf. But as he continues to play major championships, those demons are going to start barking in the back of his head.
My sister, she's 7 years younger than me, and she's always been mine and my brother's biggest fans of everything that we're doing. She has special needs, and she knows if you win, but she doesn't really care more than if you don't win. It's just, it's another day that she's out there supporting, and it puts things in perspective. When you're on the highest of highs or when you're in the lowest of lows, neither one really makes that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, and you're able to see that. It's all the highest of highs with her, which is very cool.
She was born with a neurological disorder, and Jordan says, "I love spending time with her. It's humbling to see the struggles that she goes through every day, doing the things that we just take for granted. Because of Ellie, it has always been a priority for me to be in tune with the needs of other people." With his school mantra, "A man for others," he spent afternoons volunteering at Ellie's school and seeing at firsthand the great value of volunteerism. Now, Jordan Spieth is a Catholic, and he regularly attends the PGA Tour Bible study, where I met him at the President's Cup. At that time, he was planning the Jordan Spieth Family Foundation, for which Ellie was the primary inspiration. The foundation provides awareness and financial assistance to community organizations in 4 philanthropic groups: special needs children, military families, junior golf, and pediatric cancer. Well, I tried to speak to him again at the 2014 Ryder Cup at Gleneagles in Scotland. I doubt very much whether he would have remembered me. But nevertheless, I couldn't get to him because he was tied up with his coach and his caddy on the practice tee. He was hitting countless, effortless shots that all seemed pretty perfect to me. Practice. That is the only way a young man like Jordan comes to master the intricacies of the golf swing. He becomes free in this measure that he internalizes the relevant practices and disciplines of the game over and over again. And we find this in every single human endeavor. Whether it's playing the piano, synchronized diving at the Olympics, maybe it's just knitting, or public speaking, or finance, or chemistry, or geology, classical philosophy, even studying the Bible. I can't think of a single exception this disciplining so as to make the achievement of the good firstly possible and finally effortless. Similarly, in life itself, we find exactly the same thing. You know, every time I perform a moral act, I'm building up my character. And every time I perform an unethical act, I'm compromising my character. A sufficient number of virtuous acts in time shapes me in such a way that I can predictably and reliably perform virtuously in the future. And also a sufficient number of vicious, selfish acts can misshape me in such a way that I am incapable of choosing rightly in the future. My friends, this is not judgmentalism. It's a kind of spiritual and moral physics, an articulation of a basic law, if you like. The more we practice, the better we get. This holds especially true for the three classic theological virtues: faith, hope, and charity. Now, in these reflections, we have previously considered hope and love. So today, let's examine faith a little bit more closely. What is faith? Well, I stand here with Bishop Robert Barron, who defines faith as the virtue in us that corresponds to God's opening of the door to the transcendent dimension. The knowing mind can grasp an enormous range of truths concerning the world of ordinary experience, culminating in the scientific programs of Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, or the philosophical speculations of Aristotle, Spinoza, and Kant. But this move of the mind, no matter how successful or aggressive, can never, in principle, grasp the inner life of God. That can only be received as a grace, and faith is the virtue by which one intellectually accepts this gift. Daniel Berrigan, one of my favorite authors, in his usual colorful manner, states the issue laconically, crassly in fact, but accurately. He says, "Where does your faith live? In your head or in your heart?" Your faith, he assures us, is really where your head is, just as it is rarely where your heart is. Your faith is where your ass is. He means by that, where are you living? What are you doing? These things, our actions, our charity, our morality, are what determine whether we believe or not. Passing strange and strangely true, the ass is a better indication of where we stand with these than are the head or the heart. We all have the experience of being within certain commitments, a marriage, a family, a job, a church, maybe a disabled little sister, where at times our heads and our hearts are not there, but we are there. The head tells us that this just doesn't make sense. The heart no longer has the type of feelings that would keep us there, but we remain there, held by something deeper, something beyond what we can explain or feel. And this is where faith lives, and this is what faith means. Have you noticed the medallions that most Christians wear around their necks? I think the cross or the crucifix is the most popular one. Then, at least among Catholics, comes some depiction of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And then we always have Saint Christopher. Saint Christopher? Who was Saint Christopher? Well, there's a legend about Saint Christopher that I think is pertinent here. Christopher was a man gifted in every way except faith. He had no faith. He was physically strong, powerful, good-hearted, mellow, very well liked. He was also generous, using his physical strength to help others. But he found it hard to believe in God, even though he wanted to. For him, the physical was what was real, and everything else seemed unreal. And so, as the legend goes, he lived his life in a certain honest agnosticism, unable to really believe in anything beyond what he could physically see and feel and touch. However, this didn't prevent him from using his gifts, especially his physical strength, to serve others. This was his refuge, generosity and service. He became a ferry boat operator, spending his life helping to carry people across a dangerous river. And one night, during a storm, a terrible storm, the ferry boat capsized and Christopher dived into the dark waters to rescue a young child who was drowning. And carrying this child to the shore, he looked into its face and saw there the face of Jesus Christ. And after that, he believed that he had seen the face of God. Now, for all its piety, this legend contains a profound lesson. It changes the perspective on the question of one's faith in God's existence. Faith has to be practical, existential, incarnate, rather than mainly intellectual. And how do we move from believing only in the physical, from believing only in the reality of what we can see, feel, or touch and smell, and believing in the existence of a deeper reality? Now, my friends, there's a lesson in the Christopher story. Live as honestly and as respectfully as you can, and use your gifts to help others, and God will appear. God is not found at the conclusion of some philosophical syllogism, but as the result of a certain way of living. Moreover, faith is not so much a question of feeling as of selfless service. There's a further lesson in the biblical account of that great apostle Thomas and his doubt about the resurrection of Jesus. Remember his protest. Unless I can physically place my finger in the wounds in his hands and stick my finger into the wound of his side, I cannot believe. Notice that Jesus offers no resistance or rebuke in the face of Thomas's skepticism. Instead, he takes Thomas at his word. Come, place your finger in the wounds of my side and in my hand, and see for yourself that I am real, not a ghost. That's the open challenge to us. Come and see for yourselves that God is real and not a ghost. That challenge, however, is not so much an intellectual one as a moral one, a challenge to be honest and generous. Skepticism and agnosticism, even atheism, are not a problem as long as one is honest, non-rationalizing, non-lying, ready to face reality as it appears and to give yourself away in service. If these conditions are met, God, the author and the source of all reality, eventually becomes sufficiently real, even to those who need physical proof. The stories of Jordan Spieth, St. Christopher, and Doubting Thomas teach us this, and they assure us that God is neither angered nor threatened by an honest agnosticism. Faith is never a certainty, neither is it a sure feeling that God exists. For everybody, there will be dark nights of the soul, silences of God, cold, lonely seasons, skeptical times when God's reality can't be grasped or recognized. Whenever this happens, like Jordan, Christopher, or Thomas, we need to become honest agnostics who use our goodness and God-given strengths to help carry others across the burdensome rivers of life. God doesn't ask us to have a faith that is certain, but a service that is generous and sustained. We have the assurance that should we faithfully help carry others, we will one day find ourselves before the reality of God, who will say, "See that I am real. I'm not a ghost." So, my friends, can we prove that God exists? In theory, no. But in life, yes. Just like those examples of Jordan Spieth, St. Christopher, doubting Thomas, we need to keep practicing. And God bless you.